Hello, and welcome to Timing is Everything, a program of Care Dimensions. My name is Mary Crowe, Director of Professional and Community Education at Care Dimensions. Today we're going to talk about a very important topic and focus on veteran services. We'll talk about local veteran services and resources, and we'll also discuss ways to honor loved ones when they die, particularly those who served in the military. We're so fortunate to have two special guests with us today. C.R. Lyons, Funeral Director at C.R. Lyons and Sons in Danvers, and Kelley Rayos-Teixeira, who's the Director of Veteran Services in Danvers. I'd like to welcome you both to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
Thanks so much for being here.
Glad to
this
be
really is an important topic, and it means a lot to a lot of us for a number of different reasons. So we're going to jump in. There's a lot of questions that I want to have. I want to cover a lot of information for the audience. But at first, I'd love for you guys to just introduce yourselves and tell the audience a bit about yourself. C.R., you go first.
Sure. My name is C.R. Lyons, and I operate with my family a funeral home here in Danvers. And we've been here for 100 years this year.
Really?
Yeah. And so quite an accomplishment. It was started by my great-grandfather in March of 1925.
Wow.
And actually doing some research, we were able to come across his original certificate that was, signed by, state officials back in March of 25. So pretty cool.
Oh, that is fabulous.
And I've been a licensed funeral director for just over 20 years now, and absolutely love what I do. Getting up every morning and being able to help people is just such a gift, and I feel really fortunate to have been born into that that operation and be able to continue on that legacy of my family. So very grateful for that.
Wonderful. I can't believe 100 years.
No kidding.
Fabulous. You're doing a little centennial celebration?
We've done a couple of things, and at the end of this month, in a couple of weeks, we're having the state association's putting on a dinner, and we're taking a bus with all our staff down to that. It's in Metro West, and so we'll be going to that dinner and having a nice time to celebrate. And it's been a wonderful year of just kind of memories and that sort of thing.
That's wonderful.
And then on the side, I also teach in the funeral service program at North Shore Community College.
Oh, that's fabulous.
Yeah.
Excellent. Oh, that's great.
And love seeing the new funeral directors who are coming up. So really excited that we have a very rich future of excellent staff people and funeral directors who want to help families. So.
It is exciting when younger people come into this field. I feel the same way, in the field of hospice and all of that. It's just, you want younger people to come in. This is such an important area to cover, and it's so critical.
And it energizes you.
Yeah, it does. It definitely does. Oh, thank you,
that's
C.R.
a highlight of my year is teaching every semester.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Kelley.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, tell us about you.
Well, I'm Kelley. I am the Director of Veteran Services in the town of Danvers. I'm a high school graduate, Danvers High School graduate, and I enlisted straight into the military from high school. I did my tour of duty and came back home in 2003 with my two kids and started working for the town in 2006. And was there in the clerk's office for about 14 years when in 2020 the previous VSO was getting ready to retire. And during our free time, my kids and I, we really enjoyed volunteering for programs that helped veterans. And I thought, what a great opportunity to do what I love to do, enjoy doing. I enjoy helping veterans and their family members get the benefits that they deserve for their sacrifices, and I get paid to do it too. So
yeah, isn't that wonderful?
So, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your service, and I'll tell you,
pleasure.
this is so. I'm really excited about this show today because this is so important, and I just want to make sure that we do focus in on our veterans and all that they've given, and
Absolutely.
And I appreciate you being here today.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start with you. I want you to explain to people, what does a veteran service officer do?
Oh, we're fabulous. We assist veterans and their dependents, because dependents also qualify, for benefits that they are eligible for, whether it's local, state, or federal. And we help connect them with the resources that they might need. I also manage a state financial assistance program called Chapter 115, and work with the Danvers Veteran Council to promote patriotism in the community. So we do the Memorial Day Parade, the Veterans Day Ceremony. Last year we put on a beautiful ceremony in the village training field to honor Purple Heart recipients.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. And
Yeah.
we're going to get further into those kinds of resources,
Yeah.
but we'll talk about that. I want to come over to UCR for a minute. And what makes a veteran's funeral service different from a civilian's?
Well, the differences, I think addressing the commonalities probably would be a good way to start.
Yeah.
And I think, the typical funeral service for most people, it involves family, often faith, ceremony and gathering. And there's, so every funeral has generally those components.
Yeah.
A veteran's funeral will also have a few different components based on their eligibility, which can vary from veteran to veteran, but most veterans are entitled to at least a 2-person honor guard from the branch of the service in which they served. So if they were served in the United States Coast Guard, for example, 2 Coasties would come out and at a minimum, and there'd be a flag presentation ceremony, as well as the rendering of taps at the end of the service. And so everyone is entitled to, at bare minimum, those 3 things. And depending on the length of time they served and decorations they may have received, they might be entitled to other things such as a rifle volley or a larger contingent from their branch of the service, perhaps a chaplain. So those things can kind of expand on themselves. And it can be very moving when you have a large contingent, but just as moving with 2.
It is moving. My father had that, and I have to tell you, and even when you're speaking of it, I kind of get chills. It's so powerful, so moving, and I'm so grateful again that these things are done to recognize that. So, Kelley, you had mentioned Chapter 115.
Yes.
Can you expound on that a bit?
Absolutely. So that is a state financial assistance program for, again, veterans and their dependents, and it's based on a financial need. And there's 3 eligibility requirements. One is you have to be a veteran in good standing, meaning the type of discharge, honorable discharge. The second requirement is you have to live in Massachusetts. Because we are actually, a little side note, we're the only state in the country that has a program called Chapter 115 that works like this.
Wow.
So that's why you have to be a Massachusetts resident.
Sure.
And live and you apply in the city and town that you reside in.
Okay.
So, for example, if you live in Beverly, you can't come to Danvers and apply. You have to go to Beverly. Okay. And that's because the city or town that you reside in, they're the ones that pay the benefit. Okay. And then the state turns around and reimburses them 75%. And so for, I mentioned the financial need. And currently for 2025, if one person was to apply, the income limit, the maximum income limit is a little bit over $2,000. It's like $2,600.
Okay.
And there's also an asset limit, and that would be $8,400. And if 2 adults are living in a household, then the income limit for that is $3,525. Okay. And the asset limit is $16,600. And if you have more people in the household, then your monthly income limit does go up. Okay. So, and this is a monthly benefit that's paid to the veterans, and it's to help with ordinary benefits like food, housing, medical care, and things like that. So even though I gave the eligibility income requirements, if you're over, still apply, because there's ways to offset that, the cost and everything like that.
So it's it's a monetary benefit?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. Yeah, we're going to keep talking about this because I don't think people realize what they're entitled to, and it's so important. So this is really great information that you're giving. So,
and Kelley is a workhorse when it comes to getting those benefits for people. I know I've spoken to many people in the community who are so grateful for the work she's done, and then even at the funeral home, there are some Chapter 115 benefits for veteran decedents.
Is that right?
And she's been able to help get veterans much more dignified funerals, and even veterans who have been died without any loved ones. We've been able to have some really lovely funerals for in situations like that are especially especially memorable and moving in order to make those things happen. And Kelley's the reason those things happen.
Wow, that is really neat.
Well, the program, it's a good program.
Yeah, but we do need people advocating on their behalf, so thank you for that.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Ciara, what is the most, tell me about the importance of this for you, working with veterans' families. What really kind of hits you when you're doing that?
Well,
why is it so important?
It's important because we come out of a place in our history where we haven't always appreciated veterans, and obviously in more recent years that's become something that's more important, and something we're glad to do, but that wasn't always the case. And making sure that every veteran gets his or her recognition is so important. And when I sit down with the family who it minimizes the value of it, and they say, do you want us to arrange for the honor guard flag ceremony and taps at the cemetery? And then I go, you don't have to. It's not, it's not that important. And I said, well, if you give me the okay, I'm happy to do it. It's just a few extra steps for the funeral home. And they kind of begrudgingly do it. Okay, fine. Yeah, if it doesn't cost anything extra, and that's fine. And then when they have the experience and they say, that's the takeaway for them is that moment when that bugle starts to play and everything stops. I've been at cemeteries on the road. This doesn't happen often, but when taps start to play, even cars will pull over. And so it's a recognition by the wider community that this person lived, this person's life had purpose, this person served our nation, and we should pause for that.
It is so powerful.
Very emotional.
So powerful. And that's why I'm glad you do that, because I don't think people realize what they're minimizing because they've never done this before. So and what a gift that you handed over to them by really saying, let's do it. Let's do it.
It's nothing to ask, and it's been a federal law since 1993 that veterans are entitled to that benefit. Prior to that, if you wanted a flag ceremony done, the funeral directors would do it for you. And so, while it's an honor to do that, it means so much more to be coming from the branch of service where they serve.
Absolutely. Thank you. Now, Kelley, I'm going to come back to you and talk about the difference between your office and that of the Veterans Administration.
Yes, that I get that a lot. Oh, you work for the VA, and I don't. I'm hired by the town. I'm employed by the town. My job as a VSO is mandated by the state, and I assist the VA with filing benefits. So my office works more on the local and state level, focusing on the Chapter 115 benefits. And I think we have a more hands-on approach. Whereas the VA is a federal entity, and they do more nationwide benefits, disability compensation, healthcare, VA healthcare, managing their VA facilities. So we work together. We work together, but I am separate from the VA.
So it's important that people know that. You do work together, but yet you're a separate entity.
Yes, I do get the calls when they file a disability compensation, and they're like, I don't understand why the VA told me no. And I'm like, well, we'll work on this together. I don't know because I'm not the VA. And they're like, oh, you're not? And so, we figure it out. We work together. We do.
See, that's the piece I like too, is that, again, the local kind of, you're there to support them even when they're going through the VA.
Yes.
Giving them that extra, because it's so hard for families to do this alone.
And there's so many benefits and resources out there, and you don't know where to start, and it's like you have all these little paths that you can go down, and which one do you choose? Because it's the VA, so it's a lot of paperwork.
Absolutely. Absolutely. See, a family, when you're talking about a service for people, are families able to personalize this, or do they have to follow a certain protocol if somebody is a veteran?
So They can personalize it to the level that they're comfortable. So very often, for example, we may just get a flag for someone, or we may just ask, although this isn't an official benefit, here in Danvers we have this long-standing custom where on the day of a funeral the flag in the square will be put to half-mast for the day of the service. Maybe we'll have that accommodation and just that. So it's really to their comfort level. Most do opt for the kind of the standard 3 items. There's also a presidential memorial certificate that that people may ask for, signed by the President of the United States, and they can get as many of those as they want. So if there are 4 children and 4 grandchildren that might all want one, they can get 8. Or if there are 20, they can get 20.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And they come from the government. I do laugh because usually around presidential succession time, if we're getting a new president, we do have families say, you know, can you hurry up and get that now? or can you wait until after January 20th? And so it's funny to see politics trickle into that. No, it really is up to the level of the family, what they would like, and there can even be accommodations on the day of. So, for example, I can remember an instance where it was a bitterly cold day, and the flag, it was a service for an urn, and so the flag was already folded. And typically, what happens is the honor guard will reopen the flag and fold it again. Well, the widow of the deceased was well into her 90s and may have weighed 86 pounds, right? She was very frail, and having her outside was a challenge. And so we kept her in the limousine and just rolled down the window, and she was just shivering so much. And the family had said, is it all right if you forego the refolding of the flag just to expedite things?
Sure.
And of course, the honor guard said, of course. You know, the flag is properly folded already. We'll just go over and present it to her. And that was very meaningful.
Sure.
And so finding those accommodations to make it work for people but outside of that, the services that the military will provide don't necessarily at all interrupt the options that a family may have in terms of selecting the things that they want for the funeral outside of those military things. So, you know, you're not limited to the urn or casket you want to select, or the funeral rituals that you want to have. The military works around those and augments them.
That's great. So it's very personalized still.
Very much so.
Yeah, that's excellent.
Yeah.
Kelley, talk about the local services. You know, you've touched on some of them, and again, can you maybe just talk a little bit more about what else is available resource-wise in your office that you provide? You talked about Chapter 115.
Yes.
What other things do you offer?
Jokes, no. Coffee. So my office is in the senior center.
Yep.
So there we have some great resources immediately. We have a Shine counselor that can help apply for, you know, the medical benefits, Mass Health or Medicaid. Yep. We have someone there that's an outreach coordinator. She helps with housing applications.
Oh, that's great.
And homelessness.
Yeah.
And across the street we have Danvers Housing that does the same thing too. We share space with the Lowell Vet Center. We offer them hours, and the Lowell Veteran Center offers counseling to veterans. Great. So, you know, they can come within this area rather than having to go to Lowell. So that's a resource. Yeah. Another resource, one that is near and dear to my heart because it deals with animals, is Company 2 Heroes. That is a cost-free service dog training program for veterans that are service-connected for PTS, TBI, and MST. And they have space in the Essex Tech building, and we train the veteran and their dog to be a service team.
Wow, that's wonderful.
Yeah, and then we work with vet centers. It's called VNOC, Veteran Northeast Outreach Center. They help with resources and homelessness and housing. But I mean, locally there is a lot. The food pantry is a great resource too. Yeah. You can go on mass.gov and type in veterans, and it will bring up a lot of resources that are not just in Danvers, but in Beverly and in other local communities. And then, you know, I have to say va.gov is an amazing site. It's all federal benefits, but that's where you'll find everything when it comes to federal benefits for a veteran and their dependents.
Oh,
So,
that's fabulous. So
yeah.
it's just quite a bit, more than, again, people are going to know
yeah.
about.
And that's just a little bit. I mean, I can go
Yeah.
on and on,
Yeah.
but those are the ones that I use often.
That's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's great.
A lot of resources.
Oh, there really are. There's many more than, again, I think people could ever imagine. What about benefits? Does the VA provide any benefits for funeral services?
They do. Excuse me. Their big benefit that a lot of folks around here don't take advantage of as much because of geography is burial in a national cemetery, and or a state veterans cemetery. In Massachusetts, there's the National Cemetery in Bourne, down on the Cape, and then in Winchendon and Agawam, we have 2 state veteran cemeteries. And included in that for the veteran is the grave site itself, the opening and closing fees, so the cost of digging the grave, a grave liner, and the perpetual care at the cemetery. And that's all provided at no cost.
Wow.
And at the National Cemetery in Bourne, it's also no cost for the veteran's spouse and any dependent children. And it's a very minimal cost for a spouse or a dependent at the state cemeteries. So, but unfortunately, none of those cemeteries are particularly close to us here in Danvers or on the North Shore. But I think, as Kelley will tell you, Winchendon isn't that bad of a ride. It's about an hour.
Yeah.
And it, you know, as long as it's not a Saturday morning in July,
Yeah.
getting down to
Right.
Bourne isn't too bad.
Are there any restrictions on that in terms of who can?
So you do have to be an eligible veteran. You need an honorable
Yep.
or other than dishonorable discharge.
Yeah.
And you need to have served for a relatively minimal amount of time.
Okay.
And as long as you don't have a couple of different felony convictions, you are eligible.
Okay.
So it's very much open to most residents, and you can even if you're a resident of Massachusetts and you want to go to the Veterans Cemetery in Maine or New Hampshire, you're able to do that.
Wow.
And the only cemetery that has more stringent requirements, which we probably don't have time to get into today, would be Arlington National Cemetery.
Sure.
And we've taken some folks down there, and that's really a privilege to be able to do that.
I bet.
But we've already talked about the flag and the Presidential Memorial Certificate, but also the headstone or grave marker or medallion.
Yes.
That's something that they provide, as well as potentially in some instances, and it varies from veteran to veteran, there may be a burial allowance, so a small amount of money that may cover some of the cost of the funeral.
Yeah. And that it's a really nice feature. You know, the medallion.
Yeah.
It really is. It certainly means a lot to my family. You
Yeah.
know, so I think again these things are just so, and we didn't know that we would be entitled to that for my father, but those matter.
They really do.
Really do.
And we get calls usually every Memorial Day.
Oh, yes, we do.
When
I
if there hasn't been
flag.
if the flag hasn't been placed because there isn't a marker yet, or the family for whatever reason maybe elected not to have a marker for their veteran, and so usually at the beginning of June there's a scurry of applications
I bet.
for more
markers.
markers.
Yeah.
And it's great to get those graves recognized.
Yes.
So I'll tell you, and I wish we could be here an hour. I know you two probably might not feel that way, but I do, because there's so much we could be continuing to talk about,
absolutely.
and we unfortunately we're not going to have a lot of time to do that. But you know, so I just want to ask you, Kelley, about what's the process for somebody if they don't know if they're qualifying for services? What do they do? What would you suggest to people?
Locate your local VSO.
Yep.
Give them a call, stop by, and start a conversation. You know, I get a lot of calls that say I'm a veteran. I get a lot of calls from the spouses because the veteran themselves doesn't want to call. You know, that's for their reasons, but they'll say, you know, I'm a veteran, or my spouse is a veteran. What benefits do they qualify for? And that it's a great question, but there's not a quick answer, because it all depends on the type of service that they were discharged with.
Yep.
how much time they were in. So usually what I do is we make an appointment and I ask them to bring their DD-214, which is the official document that you get when you're discharged from the military.
Yep.
And if they don't have their DD-214, I'm happy to help them get that. And I'll look at the DD-214, and there's a few things I look at, how much military time they had, active time. Did they get any awards? Were they overseas? And what type of discharge, like I said. And then it's a conversation. What is it that you need? What is it that you're looking for? And that's where it starts. If there's a health issue, we'll talk about their military service to see if it's something that they might be able to be compensated for, which means that there was an injury that they currently have that they received due to their military service. And that's called disability compensation.
Yep.
Or they might just say, oh, I want to get the discount at Lowe's, so we'll apply for a veterans card, or we'll talk about getting the veteran ID on their on their license plates through the RMV. So you go to mass.gov. We're listed, all the VSOs in the state of Massachusetts. Currently, I believe there's over 250 of us. And you call your local VSO and you say, I want to sit down and talk about this, and that's how it starts.
Yeah. So and that's important. Go to your local person.
Yes.
And your VSO,
Yes.
your Veteran Service Officer, and then and that's how they should get in touch with you, right? Look up what the local, if they're in Danvers, find out the local service, how they can reach you.
Yeah,
they can do it that way.
I'll go to the city or town's website.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll go under the department heads and find me there.
They'll find you there.
Yeah.
And Ciara, how about you? I want to just check in with you too. What do you want people to know? When they have a veteran and they're planning, what do you want them to know?
Well, I think one of the best lessons I've ever learned is we don't know what we don't know.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid to ask your funeral director, what are the options available for me as I'm either planning my own funeral or planning the funeral for a loved one, what options are available to me as a veteran.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And people can reach you?
They can reach us at the funeral home, located right in Danvers. We have our website is www.lyonsfuneral.com, and you can find all our contact information there.
That's wonderful. Again, I can't thank you both enough for being on the show today and sharing this really important information.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm just very grateful for the work that both of you do.
Thank you. My privilege.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
And I want to thank everybody for tuning in today. And be in touch. Be in touch with. And again, I hope you got a lot out of this show. I know I did. So, and look forward to you tuning in to more shows. Thank you so much.
If there's one thing that I could tell people about hospice, it's that it's not just for those final days of life. I think oftentimes people wait until it's too late, and it's not as scary as it sounds.
Don't be afraid of hospice. We're not here to make life scary, and we're not here to tell you it's the end of life. We're here to help. And I honestly think that the more people that have hospice, the better, because you have so much support, and it's not just for the patient, it's for the family as well.
And again, that hospice isn't about dying. It's really about making the most of whatever time people have and trying to bring them comfort or create a space of comfort for them that sort of supports them both physically, emotionally, and spiritually.